In the worldwide war against crime, there are men and women trained to sink their own identity in the international underworld. They work alone, in danger and in shadow, unrecognized by friend and enemy alike. They are the operators of the almost legendary Ghost Squad.
Good morning, Mr. Del Piazzo.
Good morning.
How does the weather suit you?
Oh, it is not too good. It is very cold.
Cold? For England, this is a heat wave. You should be used to our climate by now after, what, 15 years? What do you make of this? I'd say it was a forgery. Who paid it in? Giuseppe? Yes, Giuseppe.
As you've seen, it's a pretty amateurish job. A counterfeit like this might fool a bartender, but it'll never get past a bank clerk.
That's the only one that's turned up?
Yes, it is.
Well, in that case, it points to a small-time operation. Some amateur working in a back room. Why bring in the Ghost Squad?
Because there may be a good deal more to it than it seems.
Like what?
Do you remember a banknote robbery in northwest London about 2.5 years ago? A gang rammed a security van delivering new notes from the printers to the Bank of England.
Vaguely. They got away with just over £250,000. They were never caught, were they?
No, but the money was useless to them. They were new notes.
All the serial numbers were known.
Exactly. And within an hour of the raid, every bank clerk in the country knew them. They were even printed in the newspapers.
They tried to cash any?
No, they obviously realized the risk and decided to abandon the whole enterprise. None of these notes turned up for about a year. Then one night, the police got a call from a man who said the entire haul was stored in a disused warehouse near Rotherhithe. When they got there, the whole place was a blazing furnace.
The gang set it on fire?
We never knew. But we did recover the notes of what was left of them. Just a lot of charred ashes.
Well, did the police know it wasn't a trick? Perhaps only some of the notes were burned.
No, they made tests, weighed the ash and so on. But most important, they could still read nearly all the numbers. There wasn't any doubt what went up in that fire was $250,000 in notes.
Well, why are we in business? The case is closed, isn't it?
It was, until that turned up. Whoever made it used a number from the same series that was burned in the fire.
What's the point?
None that I can see, maybe just a coincidence. But the police want us to make sure. Now, the starting point is an art shop in West London owned by Mr. Giuseppe Del Piazzo. Now, find out how the note came to him. It isn't much, but it's all we got.
Well, we've got this. An art shop. That's the last place you'd expect them to push counterfeits. Racetracks, yes. Art shops, no. Their distribution setup is as lousy as their counterfeits.
Maybe it isn't their distribution setup. That's what I want you to find out, and fast. $250,000's an awful lot of money.
If anyone should want me, Sam, I shall be in the office with Max.
All right, Mr. Franklin.
Hello? Orbit Sales Agency. Yeah? Oh, was that the consignment for Manchester? All right, then, Huddersfield. Well, look, I've told you, the lorry's on its way. All right, so I said that last week. Maybe he's had a puncture. Yeah, all right, I'll see to it. I said I'll see to it. I'll get knotted. Ignorant nit.
That's no way to talk to the customers, Max.
You know, a fat lot you know about the customers. I'm the one who's lumbered with them, not you.
All right. You run the agency, I run the club. That's how we agreed it, and that's how it is. Lost something or preparing for a paper chase?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm looking for an invoice. You see, there's 16 gross of plastic tulips, and at this moment they're supposed to be speeding on their way to Rotterdam.
Where?
Rotterdam? Yeah, Holland. Well, I ask you, I mean, what do they want with plastic tulips in Holland? You can't walk 3 lousy feet without falling over a real one.
It's all to do with the common market, dear boy. Don't lose any sleep over it.
Well, why does it have to be an export-import business anyway?
Because we need a good cover.
Well, what's wrong with a betting shop?
Honest Max, the punter's pal. I'm afraid the face doesn't quite fit the description, dear boy.
Well, you keep your jokes for your club members, if you don't mind. I've got work to do.
Yes, you have, haven't you? Isn't it time you picked up me now?
Oh, now, look, can't I give that a miss just this once? You see, I've got this little bird down in Wood Green.
Forget all about the little bird in Wood Green. We've been cooking this thing for 2 years now, and just when it's coming to the boil, you suddenly find you've got a predilection for a little bird in Wood Green.
I've got more than a predilection for her, I'll tell you.
I've no doubt you have. However, as soon as we get the Murray in our hot, grubby little hands, we'll split it up. You go your way, I'll go mine, and we shan't have to put up with each other any longer, all right?
That's marvelous.
Good. You better not keep Mina waiting.
You know something? You missed your vocation. You should be running a marriage bureau.
She's a very attractive girl. Taking quite a fancy to you.
Oh, great.
Well, what's wrong with her? Apart from a certain lack of taste in male escorts.
She's just not my type, that's all.
That could cover a great deal of ground. However, you'd better keep her sweet. Helps to make the old gentleman a little more amenable.
Yeah, all right. But look, this isn't going to go on for very much longer. I mean that.
Of course it isn't, Max. If things go well, and they will, the days of your courtship are numbered.
Yeah.
My love to the lady, won't you?
Well, don't wait up for me, will you?
You are looking for anything in particular?
I understand you specialize in old Italian engraving.
You are a collector?
Yes, I am.
Are there any artists whose work interests you especially?
Well, I see you have a Venturi in the window. A very fine craftsman.
You would like to buy some Venturis.
If the price is right.
Venturi the elder or the son?
Both.
Perhaps you would like to look through these?
Oh, thank you. Well, these are very good.
Thank you. You have been a collector for long?
Oh, just for a couple of years. I'm still very much of a beginner, I'm afraid.
And how to find the market right now? The early Italian, I mean.
Oh, fairly reasonable on the whole. I gather it's been rather slack on your side of the counter, though.
Oh, I don't know. Just...
Hello, Giuseppe. How's the art row then? Still making a fortune?
Hello, Max. I am afraid Mina is not here. She is not in.
No, really? Well, that's very funny, really, you know, because you see, I was supposed to pick her up here at 4 o'clock. Wonder where she could have got to.
I don't know. She just went out.
Oh, that's all right. I'm in no hurry. I'll just wait till she comes back.
I do not know when that may be.
Don't you?
Hello, Max.
Well, what do you know? Hello, love.
Mina,
You ready?
for your own sake, if not for mine, please do not go.
For heaven's sake, Grandfather, pull yourself together.
There is nothing wrong with me. Not with me.
Come on, Max, let's go.
Cheer up, Giuseppe. She's in very good hands. Oh, by the way, have you got any small change in that till of yours? I want some to feed a government money box. You know, a parking meter.
There are only a few shillings.
Well, that's fine.
6.
Oh, in that case, I suppose you better keep the change, hadn't you? Buy yourself an aeroplane.
But I want them for my gas meter.
Oh, don't. You're breaking my heart. Well, give yourself an early night instead. You know, at your time of life, you should be getting all the sleep you can. See you later, Pop.
Oh, I am sorry. Venturi, you wanted some of... I have some here.
Are you all right?
In here, please. I am all right. I am sorry to give you so much trouble. Mina is a good girl, a lovely girl. It is not her fault. Maybe if she had a mother, it might have been different. Maybe if we had not left the old country, but what is the use? I could not have lived there after what I have gone through.
Why do you think this man, Max, is no good for?
Oh, that type is no good to anyone, not even to themselves. My granddaughter is an educated girl. She could have gone to the university. I could have found her the money, just as I always did. She is my whole family now. And to throw herself away to a scum like that...
What does this Max do for a living?
Every night it is the same thing, drinking and dancing, and there is nothing that I can do. And when I think of how it all might end, I wish that I were dead. But you must not listen to the ravings of a lonely old man. You want to see some engravings.
No, it's all right. I'll leave it to tomorrow. I'd like to look through them in my leisure, and right now I have an appointment.
As you wish.
Till tomorrow, then.
Till tomorrow.
Look, I tell you, the stuff's on its way. I sent the order myself. Hello. Yeah, Orbit Sales. Chromium-plated what? Soap dispensers? What am I supposed to know about chromium-plated soap Oh, you did? Yeah, well, I'm sorry, the order must have got lost. I said the order must have got lost. Yeah, all right, all right. Anything you say. Look, call me back later, will you? I said call me back later. Look, mate, I don't care if you're calling from ruddy China. Hello. No, it isn't. You've got a wrong number. No, this is the Hackney Maternity Home.
Easy on the Angostura, Sam. In most walks of life, enthusiasm is an admirable quality. And in a barman, it can be positively disastrous.
I remember that, Mr. Granger.
Do that. Hello. How's our mercantile tycoon? Packing it in for the night?
I'm packing it in, period. I haven't been so cheesed off since I had a ruddy mailbag in my hands.
Oh, what's the matter? Your plastic tulips got plastic green fly?
Oh, very funny. Give us a drink, will you, Sam?
Would you like the same as Mr. Granger's?
No, I said a drink, not a salad. I'll have a scotch. Make it a large one.
You know, Max, I rather fear that the world of commerce is not exactly your métier.
Yeah, you can say that again. Chromium-plated soap dispensers.
Hmm?
Soap dispensers. Chromium-plated. Do you know there's a fellow up in Sunderland wants another 5,000, and that's his third order this month?
Well, he obviously likes them, dear boy.
What do you suppose he does with them all?
You don't seem to realize that without chromium-plated soap dispensers, civilization as we know it would crawl to a stop within 48 hours. No? Another lamb to the slaughter? What's the matter?
Well, I've seen him someplace before.
Where?
I don't know, but I've seen him. I can't remember where.
Better find out, didn't we? Good evening. My name's Granger. If pressed, I admit to ownership of this establishment. Can I help you?
I just wanted a drink. You seem to have ample stock. Maybe we can do business.
Unfortunately, Parliament and the local law enforcement agencies require that I admit members only.
How do I join?
Sign this form.
So much for Parliament and the local law enforcement agency.
The fee is £2. The cloakroom's on the left. We don't allow credit, and the first drink is on the house.
I think I'll remember the rules, and I accept the invitation.
Good. Well, now, you come this way, Mr. Bull.
Bull.
Max. I'd like you to meet our new member, Mr. Bowles. Mr. Bowles, this is Max, my associate.
Hello.
How do you do? Well, what do you have?
The scotch, please.
Scotch, please, Sam.
Penumbra Club. Penumbra. What does it mean?
Oh, well, it means, well, it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it just means penumbra, doesn't it?
A penumbra may be defined as a slightly shady region, I think, which aptly describes the club, slightly shady.
I wouldn't say that.
I should hope you would. It's a carefully calculated piece of business psychology. We have the type of membership who believes that its enjoyment isn't real unless it's furtive.
What do you do, Mr. Bowles?
I'm a collector. Anything of interest.
Well, that makes you sound like a reporter, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Are you a reporter?
No.
Well, what exactly do you collect?
Oh, beautiful thing.
Hello, Max. I'm Karen. Wasn't it you at my grandfather's shop earlier?
Yes, it was. Can I buy you a drink? Sam, a drink for the lady.
Did he ask you to follow us here?
No, why should he do that? I was there to buy some prints. Nobody was more surprised or delighted when I saw you just now.
Yes, of course. Just one of those extraordinary coincidences that prove the old saying, the truth is stranger than fiction.
Oh, Mr. Granger, could you spare a moment? It's about those crates.
Oh, yes, right. Excuse me just a moment, Mr. Bowles. Oh, Max.
Yeah.
Have a word with you for a minute.
Yes, sir. What's up?
What our new member's just given us.
Where do you suppose he got that?
From Giuseppe, of course.
How'd you know?
Well, it's obvious. Only three of us have access to the notes. You, me, and Giuseppe. I know I didn't give it to him, and it's obvious you didn't. It only leaves Giuseppe.
Well, the rotten
Now,
old...
don't be emotional. This needs thought.
I don't know about thought, mate. What this needs is action.
No, not necessarily.
Well, we've got to do something.
Yes, so we shall, Max, we shall.
Well, what?
Let's invite him into the office, shall we, and have a private little chat.
Private little chat.
Well, after all, we are honest, law-abiding citizens. Someone's just handed us a dud note, and that's illegal. Very, very naughty. We shall have to tell him about it, won't we? Oh, Mr. Bowles, I wonder if we could have a word with you in the office.
What's the matter? Already broken a rule.
Sort of. Would you lead the way, Max, please? Yes.
Sam, what's wrong?
Oh, nothing much. Just a little irregularity in his membership form. Nothing to worry about.
Mr. Bowles. Sit down.
Now, what's the problem?
Well, I don't have one, but you do. This note that you just handed to my barman is a counterfeit, a fake.
Boy, you're not kidding. This has everything with a man's fingerprints on it.
Now, you're not going to try and say that you didn't know it was a forgery.
Of course I didn't know. I wouldn't have tried to pass it on.
Well, that's very public-spirited of you, but I'm afraid unless you can do better than that, I shall have to contact the police.
Oh, wait a minute. You think that's wise?
In the circumstances, it's the only thing I can do.
It could put your friend here in serious difficulties.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
I could say that note wasn't mine.
Well, several witnesses saw you hand it to the barman.
But before that?
And that doesn't concern us.
It could. I could say this was the same note that Max here, earlier on today, gave to the old man, who in turn handed to me. What would his answer be to that?
Now, look here, you. I don't know who you are.
I'm just saying that if you make trouble for me, I can make it for you.
Now, Mr. Bowles, I've known Max for a number of years. He's a fellow director of my firm, and I know for a fact that he would never do anything like passing forged money any more than I would or any other reputable businessman. This is obviously a story that you've thought up to protect yourself. Now, my inclination is to hand the whole thing over to the police, except for one thing.
And what is that?
Do I take it that you got this note from Mina's grandfather? Well, that is what you said before, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, Mina has spoken to me several times about him. He seems a nice, quiet, inoffensive little man. I shouldn't like anything unpleasant to happen to him. I'm quite sure he knows nothing about this note.
So what are you going to do?
Nothing. Except perhaps to reconsider your application to join the club. I think perhaps you can find your own way out, Mr. Bowles.
Why, that stupid old fool Giuseppe, I could kill him.
Could you, Max? In that case, I think perhaps you'd better do so.
Hey, what?
I say, I think perhaps you'd better do so, Max. Tonight.
Tonight? You mean kill him tonight?
Well, Giuseppe has become a luxury we can no longer afford. It's going to happen anyway. Just a little ahead of schedule, that's all.
Oh, yes, I know, but...
Now, don't be squeamish, Max. It's regrettable, I know, but it comes to us all sooner or later, doesn't it? Off you go. Oh, and Max, be tidy, won't you? It's an excellent habit to cultivate. Manners maketh man.
Sam.
Haven't you had enough?
No, I haven't.
You know Max doesn't like you to drink too much. You're not used to it.
Then why isn't he here to stop me?
Look, he'll be back soon. Why did you just sit and wait like a good girl?
I'm tired of waiting. I've waited long enough.
But Max said... Oh, Mina, you forgot your coat.
Taxi! Taxi!
I'm telling you, Max won't like it.
Oh, you have an obsession about Max's dislikes. I don't. Not anymore. Taxi!
I'm telling you for your own good.
Will you get me a taxi for my own good? Taxi!
Where to, lady? My property, just across the street.
So now you're a taxi driver. And what will you expect in the way of a tip?
Well, I usually leave that to my customers' discretion.
Hey, what's going on?
She's gone, Max. That big bloke took her off. He must have been hanging around waiting to pick her up.
And you let her go?
Well, I told her you wouldn't like it.
Well, perhaps it's time I told her myself.
What? Thick and black.
I thought you were taking me home.
So I am, as soon as I finish my coffee. Cheers. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Let me see now. How did a sweet kid like me get mixed up in a racket like this, yes?
Yes.
Mind your own business.
Touche.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have asked that. It just struck me as strange. Your grandfather lives in such a different world.
Cause and effect. That's the answer to most things, isn't it?
Usually. I can see the effects. Suppose you tell me the causes.
Oh, nothing very dramatic. My grandfather brought me up after my parents were killed in one of those last raids in Napoli.
I'm sorry.
He was kind, but he had old-fashioned ideas. And what he lacked in understanding, he made up for in discipline.
Forgive me, but I would have never guessed you had a strict upbringing.
No, it doesn't show, does it? I had more freedom in my convent school than I had at home. Don't do this, Mina, don't do that, don't talk to him or look at her. It was all for my own good, of course.
You don't sound as though you like your grandfather very much.
Like him? Oh, yes. Respect him, no.
He was only trying to shelter you.
Oh, Mr. Bowles, there's a difference between sheltering and smothering. My grandfather is not aware of the distinction.
Well, you certainly kicked over the traces.
Well, don't you start disapproving. It was enough to last me a lifetime.
Lady, if you're going to start associating with people like Max...
Max is at least exciting and Max is at least alive.
Max is at least a bum.
So what does that matter?
There are other men.
What should I know about other men?
You know, lady, the trouble with you is you're having a very bad attack of the self-pities.
Spare me the psychoanalysis. It's not to be had with the price of a cup of coffee.
Was your grandfather's way so bad?
It was worse than bad. It was phony.
What does that mean?
Nothing,
Mind my own business?
if you like.
Full turn of the wheel. Come on, I'll take you home.
Well, Sam should have stopped her. He got no right letting her go off like that. I'd given him his orders.
Unfortunately, Max, your tone of command can sometimes be mistaken for a whine of appeal. How precisely could he have stopped her?
Well, he could have...
Yeah,
Well, he could have done something.
I see.
Look, I'm telling you, Granger, this isn't a coincidence. I've got an instinct about it. My instincts are never wrong.
You have an instinct for the obvious, Max. Of course it isn't a coincidence. The warning bells ringing and red lights flashing all over the place. We have trouble in large measure.
So what are we going to do about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, the next move is not ours. Not at the moment, anyway. I rather imagine it won't be long before things start to move. What's the trouble?
I don't want to have to do that sort of thing again. Ever.
This is no time to start getting sensitive, Max. What does it matter anyway? The penalty's the same, no matter how many times you do it, isn't it?
Oh, thanks. That makes me feel marvelous.
So, when do I see you again?
You don't.
Well, if you're suggesting I can't compete with Max, I'm insulted.
Thank you for the ride, Mr. Bowles. Good night.
Now, wait a minute.
Ah, yes. The tip. Customer's discretion, remember?
You're the most discreet customer I've ever met. Isn't that gas? Quick, let's get under the window.
It's too late. He's dead.
It seems you were the last person to talk to him. How did he seem? Depressed?
You could say that.
Did he say anything that would give any clues as to why he might do a thing like this?
Well, let's just leave it that he was depressed, can't we?
No, we can't. You can leave it like that, but I can't. Well, Doctor?
Death occurred about midnight. Asphyxiation due to carbon monoxide poisoning. No signs of any other injury. Got a match?
You already got mine.
Hmm? Oh, so I have.
Accident?
He could have just dozed off. Happens to a lot of old people.
Suicide?
Wouldn't know. Couldn't rule it out. Old Giuseppe was a pretty funny character. Oh, sorry.
You through now?
Yep.
All right, you can take it away. I'll be getting in touch with you later. As for you, Mr. Bowles, I'll want a full statement later, so stay where we can reach you, Mr. Bowles.
You'd better get some sleep.
Why did you do it? Why?
Poezia dell'Innocenza. Poems of Innocence. He was reading these. Claudio Pampaloni. Who's that, Mina?
I don't know.
Never heard of him?
No.
Well, good night, Mina. I'll see you tomorrow.
Giuseppe Del Piazza arrived in this country December the 5th, 1945. He had an Italian passport and brought with him his 5-year-old granddaughter. That's Mina. The story he put out was that he had spent several years in prison in Italy for anti-fascist activities and wanted to make a fresh start in a new country.
What do you mean the story he put out?
Just that. In those days, it sounded pretty reasonable. But now we've checked. There's no record of anybody of that name serving a prison sentence.
But a lot of records were destroyed during the war.
Possibly. But that isn't all. Last night, the police took away several papers belonging to poor old Giuseppe. Among them his passport.
So?
It's a forgery.
What?
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah. After the war, a lot of people bought fake papers to get out of their countries.
I know, but the fact remains that Giuseppe Del Piazza wasn't the kindly, honest old gentleman everybody thought he was. Probably wasn't even his name.
What else you find out?
About Giuseppe, nothing. But we've done a check on this nightclub and the trading company who owned the property.
And?
And nothing. The Orbit Sales Agency was set up by Granger a couple of years ago and seems a perfectly normal organization with representatives in most of the major cities. The nightclub's just a sideline, probably operating at a tax loss.
So what you're saying is old Giuseppe forged one of these notes for his own amusement, and that's as far as it goes.
Well, he was an expert on engraving. Is there any evidence to prove that he didn't do it?
Well, it depends what you mean by evidence. I met him, and I'd say he was genuine, phony passport or not.
Would you?
I would. Anyway, I'd like to stay on the case.
I had no intention of taking you off it.
Good.
Now where are you up to?
I want to see if I can find out anything about a character called Claudio Pampaloni.
Claudio what?
Pampaloni.
Who's that?
Well, I don't know yet, but that's just what I'm going to try and find out.
looking for something, Mr. Bowles?
I just wondered if there's anything I could do to help.
Well, that's very kind of you. But I'm leaving here. Max is coming for me soon.
That's very generous of him.
I know what you're thinking, but you're a stranger. Perhaps it's hard for you to understand that people commit suicide for all sorts of reasons. Not all of them good or even forgivable.
His reason was that he was unhappy.
I know. But it wasn't all my fault. He wouldn't even try to understand. Max and I...
Max?
Yes, Max! About 18 months ago, just after I started going out with Max, my grandfather was taken ill. It was nothing serious. It was strain, overwork. The doctor said he ought to have a holiday. He wouldn't hear of it. He was the sort of man who'd spend his week's earnings in the shop buying me a ridiculously expensive dress that I didn't even want, and refused to spend a penny of it on himself. He said he couldn't afford it.
Aren't you being a little unkind?
Maybe. Anyway, Max heard about this. And what did he do? He came round here the following day with the money for the holiday, insisting that my grandfather should take it. He even drove him down there in his own car. Don't you understand? He wanted my grandfather to like him.
Why didn't he?
Stubbornness, selfishness. It was even jealousy. It wasn't just Max he objected to. He would have disliked anybody that I was fond of.
You were all he had.
I know. But didn't he keep telling me that? You can't live your whole life to please somebody else. This last year it's been nothing but rows. The other day...
Yes?
He asked me for the last time to give Max up. I said I wouldn't. He said he'd kill himself.
And you didn't believe him?
No, I didn't. And anyway, that's the worst kind of blackmail there is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. All right, Harry. We'll go ahead and agree the deal. Don't forget we rely on 24-hour delivery. All right. Perfect, Harry. Bye. Wolverhampton. The last but one. No trouble? No trouble. You know, Max, I think this is going to be the best day's business in the whole of the short history of our office. Pause for a drink. You're very quiet.
Well, I don't like that fella snooping about.
Mr. Bowles.
Bowles. But we don't even know if that's his proper name.
I'm sure it isn't. But worse, who could he be? A member of the fraud squad looking for a shady deal? Nothing shady about Orbit Sales. They're carrying through a perfectly normal business procedure. The fact that we're going to make £250,000 capital gain is neither here nor there. Of course, we shan't declare it for tax, but that's another matter entirely.
Yeah, but how do you know there aren't some more of those notes lying about?
We don't. But what if there are? There's nothing to connect them with us.
Yeah, but he could make the connection.
Possibly, but could he prove it? And even if he does find anything tangible, I'm sure we shall see the significance of it long before he does and take appropriate steps.
Yeah.
More important is the girl. You know, it's the only part of the whole thing that goes against the grain. It's so much more pleasant if you could marry her and keep her quiet that way.
Hey, now look, I've put up with her for 2 rotten years and it's not been easy. Well, I'm damned if I'm going to end up married to her just to keep you in the clear.
And what do you suggest? Well.
Well, I suppose we'll have to do what we said we'd do.
Whatever you say, Max. After all, with £250,000 at stake, we can't afford to be sentimental, can we?
Why are you asking all these questions? What do you want to find out about Max? Who are you?
I told you, I'm a collector.
Well, that's a hobby, not an occupation.
With me, it's an occupation. I represent a large firm of art dealers.
And why should they be so interested in a place like this?
We've been commissioned to pick up as many old Italian prints as we can lay our hands on.
Who's the customer?
Does it matter?
Yes. We've dealt with almost every print collector in the country. This business is a village. We know each other by name and reputation.
Look, I can't give away trade
The
information.
name, please.
All right. The Lindsay Wallpaper Company.
The what?
The Lindsay Wallpaper Company. They're bringing out a new line featuring old Italian engravings. We've been commissioned to buy up the originals to make blocks for reproduction. It's all very fashionable.
That sounds unlikely enough to be true.
You see? A simple answer for everything.
Did you get what you were after?
Yeah, I picked up a couple of Venturis.
I'd have thought you'd been far more interested in Caligari or a Benini.
He didn't have any.
No, nobody has any. I made it up. You're not a collector at all. What do you want to find out about Max?
Mina, I just want to help.
I don't want your help. Now, will you please go before I call the police? Hello? Oh, it's you, Mr. Granger. Yes? The police have been here. No, nothing definite. Yes, but why? I'll be there right away.
Hello, Chief. Craig here. Now, listen carefully. We've stumbled onto something big, and I mean big. We've got to act fast. It may already be too late. First off, old Giuseppe did forge those notes. Oh, and his name isn't Del Piazzo. It's Claudio Pampaloni. Second thing is, he didn't commit suicide. No, I'll fill you in all the details later. Right.
Let's have a little respect for the dead, shall we, Mr. Bowles? After all, we all have to go sometime, don't we?
You say we've got to act quickly, but how can we when we don't know anything? Let's have that report again on the warehouse fire. The answer must be here somewhere.
No more word from Nick.
No, nothing. Oh, this is no good. Is the inspector coming over?
Yes, in about 5 minutes.
Oh, let's go through what we got.
Shall I take notes?
No, we can carry this in our minds. First, 2.5 years ago, a bank van is held up and £250,000 stolen. Then, after a year's silence, all the notes are destroyed in a warehouse fire, presumably to stop them falling into the hands of the police. The next thing is that a forged pound note with the same serial number as the stolen notes is handed in at a bank. We find out that the forger is an old Italian art dealer. Within 24 hours, he's dead, murdered.
But do we know that all these things are connected?
There must be a connection. Something we've overlooked. Something so simple. Miss Carter, you've been paid this week.
I beg your
You
pardon.
waited, you got them on you?
Yes,
Well, let's
but-
have them.
Well, I really don't
I just want any
see-
notes you've got. Now, don't waste time, this is urgent.
Well, there isn't much left.
Here, these will do.
Well, what are you looking for now?
You had some matches somewhere.
Matches?
Yeah. Ah, here we are.
What are you doing?
Burning them.
Burning them? Listen, these are my wages. Why couldn't we burn your wages?
I get paid by check. You don't worry, you'll get them back. Now, what can you see?
The remains of my lunches for the rest of the week.
No, this is serious.
Well, so are my lunches.
No, serious now, what can you see?
A pile of ashes.
Exactly, a pile of ashes.
Well, what did you expect?
That question, my dear Miss Carter, contains the whole point.
Yes? It's the inspector.
Send him in.
Send him in, please. Well, I still don't see.
I'm just beginning to.
Something burning?
Yes, Inspector. Perhaps you can tell me what it is. Actually, it's paper money.
Oh, yes, of course, I can see now.
Now, can you tell me how many notes were burned there?
Are you serious
Yeah,
about this?
very serious. Now, how many notes were there?
Well, that's easy. 2. Those thin metal strips are built into every banknote.
Thank you.
Well, now, will you tell me the point of these questions?
The point is that these same questions were in the minds of the experts who were called in 18 months ago to examine the remains of a warehouse fire in East London.
Yeah, but why should anyone forge that number of notes and then burn them? It's too absurd. It's just...
Once you ask the question, the answer's obvious. What did the Bank of England do after the experts made their report?
They closed the case.
Exactly. And cleared the numbers of the stolen notes at the banks.
They were going to be reprinted later.
And in the meantime, the original thieves have a room full of unforged, unsuspected new notes, which they can cash any time they choose.
I'll get on to the Bank of England at once.
Not a bad dodge. Worth remembering.
So you think old Giuseppe Del Piazza, or whatever his name was, did the forging?
That's what Craig told us.
Then why did he pay one of them into a bank?
That question, my dear Miss Carter, if I don't get the answer to that soon, I shall really be getting worried.
Thanks, Sam. I'll just keep an eye on the door for a bit, will you, Sam? Now, we don't open for another couple of hours yet, and we don't want to break the law, do we?
No.
Now, don't get that down here. You'll soon feel better.
Why didn't you tell me who he was, Max? What he wanted?
Well, we've only just found out. He's from the immigration authorities.
Immigration?
Now, there's nothing for you to worry about. I'll take care of everything. My guess is he was checking up on your grandfather.
My grandfather?
Yeah, well, you remember, you told me yourself he came over in a phony passport.
Oh, but that was years ago. He's done nothing wrong since.
Well, that's the way these people work, love. You know, government departments, they take their time. I suppose they finally got around to looking into it. Well, you never know, something might have turned up.
Oh, what kind of thing?
Well, I don't know. Anything.
Well, what can they do to me?
Oh, nothing very much, I shouldn't think. Well, they could deport you.
Deport me?
Well, I'm not saying they will. It depends what they find out. Let's hope they don't turn up his prison record in Italy. Well, it's a pity you had to lie about that. Still, I suppose it's not easy to go around telling people you've served 3 years for forgery. Much easier to pass yourself off as an anti-fascist fighter. Well, he's not the first to have done it.
What am I going to do, Max?
You'll do nothing. I'll take care of everything. We'll just go off someplace together. Just disappear. It'll be all right.
Where are you going?
Well, I suppose I should go and have a word with Granger, put him in the picture. No time like the present, is there?
Don't leave me alone long, huh?
You just sit here and have another drink and relax. I won't be long.
Yes. Yes, Jim. Fine. You did? Right. Well, wind it all up, and we'll go ahead with the meeting as planned. Right. Bye, Jim. You know who that was?
Jim Baxter?
Yes, Max. Jim Baxter from Leeds. The last one.
Everything all right?
Not a single hitch. Every note accepted by the banks, and in return we've got 50,000 pivers. Honest, above suspicion, acceptable anywhere in the world. 500 each for the agents, and the rest between ourselves.
Well, when are we going to get our hands on that money?
Tonight, as arranged. And then goodbye, Orbit Sales, and back goodbye, London. Wait a minute, though. Mustn't let success go to our heads. What about the gal? How much does she know?
Oh, nothing very much, I don't think. She's dead worried, though, that's for sure.
There's pity about that. Great pity. There's nothing more distressing than mental uncertainty, is there? I think the time has come to do something about it.
Sorry about this, son. You'll feel much better next week.
Stay away from me.
I've got to talk to you.
Stay away from me.
You've got to listen to me. Your grandfather didn't commit suicide, he was murdered.
All right, that's enough. Get back in that room.
What does he mean, Max?
I said get back in that
The
room.
gas couldn't have been on all that long. He'd given all his shillings to Max. You were there when he did it. And why did he leave you alone at the club that night?
Look, I'll not tell you again.
Just a minute, Max. There's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Now it's all yours. What are you going to do with it?
Oh, you leave him to me.
Of course, darling, of course.
So you arranged for a little holiday for old Giuseppe. How did you persuade him to work for you? It's too easy, isn't it? All you have to do to a man like that to make him toe the line is tell him something will happen to someone he loves. Now, let's go and have a talk with our friend upstairs, shall we?
Oh, Max. Hey, Granger, do something. Well, don't just stand there. Do something. Max.
What?
You do something.
How do you like it, Chief? A genuine Italian Venturi.
A gift?
No, I bought it. Oh, Mean has decided to stay on at the shop. And speaking of the shop, Chief, I'm afraid I didn't do enough homework on the art world when I first went there.
Why was that?
Well, old Giuseppe asked me if I was collecting Venturi the Elder or his son. I said both.
So?
There ain't no both. There's only one Venturi.
Lot.
The old man knew I wasn't a collector right from the start.
Well, at least he died knowing his little scheme was working.
Scheme?
Well, he wanted to expose Max and his crowd without any harm coming to Mina. So what he did was bring a few of those forged notes back with him from that holiday Max so kindly laid on for him.
And he passed one of them knowing that it would start inquiries.
Well, he certainly wouldn't have made much of a living in England as a forger. This wouldn't fool an errand boy.
You're wrong. This wasn't his best work. Far from it. In fact, it was quite deliberately the worst turned-out job he ever did. Claudio Pampalone was the most skillful counterfeiter operating in Italy. He was an expert.
Wait a minute. You mean I may not be the proud owner of a genuine Italian Venturi?
Don't worry. His line was strictly banknotes. And talking of banknotes, thank you.
Thank you. May I go now?
Certainly. Where are you off to, may I ask?
To spend these. You're not the only one who can burn money, you know.
She's got a point there, Chief. There are all sorts of hot money. Some of it hotter than others. But women are better at burning it than anybody.
I wouldn't say that.